Welcome to the channel, you beautiful people. As always, my name is Plural, and on this channel, I like to do hip-hop album reviews. I take an album, I listen to each song, give a brief breakdown of each one, and then rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. Just a reminder that music is subjective, and just because I like or dislike something doesn't mean you're obligated to like or dislike something, so I suggest that you listen to the album yourself and come to your own conclusion. This episode is a semi-special one. I happen to be recording this on Halloween, so happy Halloween to everybody out there, even though you're going to be seeing this a few days late. Since it's Halloween, I am going to review a Halloween-themed album, Lloyd Banks' Halloween Havoc 4, the 72nd Hour. This is a 15-track mixtape that dropped Halloween of 2023. I have to say that Lloyd Banks has always been my favorite rapper from G Unit, so I thought I'd give this album a listen. So let's see if this is actually a Halloween themed mixtape or if it's just got a Halloween themed title. Have any of you listened to this mixtape yet? Let me know in the comments. So without further ado, here's the review. Track 1, Above the Law. I love the keys that are on the beat by George Getton. Super sick. The hook for this is also dope. I gotta say, it's my favorite Banks part on this song. His first verse does start off a little average, but he does pick it up in the second half, and it's a solid verse overall. But I do gotta say that his second verse is the hardest verse that he does on this. I love the pocket that he hits on the flow. This song kind of feels like prime Banks, so I'm gonna give it a soft 8. Track 2, Convoy. His first verse is okay, but it really is only average if I'm being honest. A highlight from his first verse is the notebook wrapped in plastic. I thought that was pretty slick. The hook for this was low-key lame to me, and I wasn't really feeling it at all. But his second verse is fairly decent, and I gotta give it the best verse on the song. Probably the best part, actually. And in his third verse, it's really just a little bit above average. It's pretty decent. I would say it's better than the first, but not as good as the second. Overall, as a song, I'm going to give this a soft 5. Track 3, Familiar Scars. This is the one and only Mr. Authentic beat on this mixtape. On now to Banks, though. His first verse was a little weak to me, but he does pick it up in the second half. The garbage can odor line was actually pretty smooth, and I like that bar. The hook was okay, I guess. The first half was a little weak to me, but I like what he did with the second half. And his second verse is low-key dope as well. Probably the best part of the song, actually, in my opinion. And then the beat rides out as an outro to the song, which was fairly decent overall. So I'm going to give it a soft 7. How would you guys rate the first 3 tracks of the album? I'm interested to know. Would you rate them higher or lower than what I did? Anyways, on to track 4, Speeding Season. The beat for this is low-key dope. Produced by Haas Amaldi. This is some eerie feeling production right here. He snapped in his first verse, clapping off the roof but ain't flipping pigeons. Sick. I gotta say that this is the best verse on the song for sure. The hook is fairly decent, but I gotta say it's probably the worst part of the song. Don't get me wrong though, I'm not trying to say that the hook is weak in any aspect. He also snaps in his second verse too. Not as good as the first, but he still does his thing. This has got to be my personal favorite song of the project. Would you guys say the same thing? I'm giving this a soft 9. Track 5, Dangerous Minds. His first verse is fairly decent, probably the better of the 2 verses that he does on the song. The hook for this is cold. The cadence that he uses for this, super sick, and it's got to be the best part of the song in my opinion. His second verse is just okay. I got to give it an average moniker. He does mention a label dispute, claiming that we should have got this album a year prior, meaning that we should have got it in 2022 instead of 2023. As a song, though, I really got to say it's only a little bit above average. I got to give this a hard 6. Moving on to track 6, Clubbin' in Chaos. The vocal that he uses as the lead instrument in the beat is sick. I got to say that the first verse is actually kind of lame to me. I didn't really like it much. But the Ball Brother line is probably the best line of the first verse. The hook for this is decent. I would really only give it an average moniker, though. His second verse was kind of hard. It's the better part of the song, but only a little bit above average. Like I said, the beat carries this thing to a hard 4. Track 7, Diamond Heist. This is featuring Votto, one of the only two features on the project. Banks has a few one-liners in his verse, like the Missy Elliott bar and the broken heart at third grade that stand out of a fairly solid verse overall. The first half of his hook that he does for this is fairly solid, but I'm not really liking what he does for the second half of it. It just wasn't my thing. Votto's verse was okay. I would only say that it's a little bit below average, though. The Invisalign bar that he does was probably his best bar. And George Getson on the keys, super smooth again. I think I'm actually starting to like what he does with the production. I got to give this song a solid soft 7. I'm kind of curious to know how your ratings differ from mine throughout the first half of the album. And I'd like to take a minute out because if you aren't already aware, I am a partner for Dubby Energy, the cleaner, healthier, and more affordable energy solution. I personally believe that this is the energy brand of the future. It doesn't have any of the extra fillers that you see with all the other brands. Everything that's on their nutrition label is what's in their product, which includes all the essential vitamins and amino acids that your body needs for proper function. Plus, it's made with a thing called neurofactor that is clinically proven to increase your BDNF by 143%, possibly. And did I mention how cheap it is per drink? Hold up, this is going to blow your mind. $1.33. That's less than what you can get for the dollar drinks at your local dollar store. For real. Plus, if you tell them that I sent you with the code Sue Street at checkout, right up there, code Sue Street at checkout for 10% off your order. So head over to w.gg today and tell them I sent you. And now back to the album. Track 8, Trap Dice. I gotta say that the beat for this is a little lackluster and probably the worst beat on the album. The hook for this is low-key dope though. Very smooth, and Banks gives it a very relatable feel. Probably the best part, and it carries the song in my opinion. His first verse was okay. It wasn't horrible, but I would really only say it's average. And the second verse was a little bit below average, just not as good as the first. Had the same energy and feel to it. And the song was really only average, so I'm going to give it a hard 5. Track 9, Broken Arrows. Banks's first verse starts off a little lame, but he does pick it up in the second half. The hook for this wasn't for me. I just wasn't really feeling it. His second verse, though, is low-key dope, and I got to give it the best part of the song. His Judas bar is probably my favorite line of the verse and song. His third verse is just a little bit better than the first, and just not as good as the second, so I would just say it's kind of there. And he does an outro for this that I actually kind of thought was pretty smooth. Overall, as a song, though, I kind of thought it was lackluster, so I'm going to give this one a hard 3. Track 10, You Shouldn't Be Here. His first verse is fairly solid. The first few bars that he does for this are my favorite part of the verse. The hook that he does for this is low-key, not even low-key, high-key dope, and it's my favorite part of the song. The second verse is fairly decent as well, definitely the better of the two verses that he does on the song. I gotta say that I enjoyed this track, so I'm gonna give it a soft 7. Track 11, No Opinions. This is probably the best beat on the album by Cartoon Beats. Banks' first verse was kind of dope, just fairly solid throughout the whole thing. If I had to choose between the verses, this would probably be my favorite one. The hook is also fairly solid, just a little bit above average if I'm being honest. His second verse is just okay. The best line of the verse, and dare I say the best line of the song, I got my gloves off and they hitting like them folding chairs. It was just super dope. But the verse is only really just average though. Overall, as a song, I thought this was pretty dope, so I'm going to give it a soft 8. Track 12, Roaming Weather. The beat for this is actually kind of weak. I want to take back what I said earlier in my review and say that George Getson is really only hit or miss. Banks' first verse was okay. If I'm being honest, it was really a little lackluster. The hook is a tale of two halves. The first half, I gotta say, is the best part of the song, but the second half of the hook is kind of weak to me. The second verse is okay. I would say it's probably just a little bit better than the first verse. The best line of the song is, a betrayal is like a concussion. It'll have you seeing double. The song is really only average. I would kind of say maybe a little bit below and give it a hard 4. Track 13, Take Me Under. I gotta say that this song has a different feel than all of the other ones that we've listened to so far on the album. I would say it's more motivational than eerie. The first verse is a little lackluster, kind of lame if I'm being honest. I gotta say that the hook is a little dope. I enjoyed the message that he says in it. And the second verse is the best verse on the song, hands down. Third verse is just a little bit below the second, but still better than the first. I love the message for this, but my one critique was that it's just a little bit slow. So I'm just going to give it an average soft 6. Track 14, Bad Advice, featuring Cy Ari the Kid, who happens to be on the hook for this. And if I'm being honest, I really wasn't feeling it. Kind of lame to me. And it's just kind of like that throughout the whole song. I wasn't feeling Banks' first verse or his second. They were both just kind of lame. Is this the first skip on the album? I'm unsure. I'm giving it a soft 2. Track 15, Condolences. The first verse that he does on this is super dope. Pops went out before we could fix it is a super deep bar, and probably my favorite line of the verse. The hook for this was fairly solid as well, but I would really have to say it's only a little bit above average. But the second verse is pretty dope, and it's got to be the best verse on the song. And the way that he lets the beat play out for maybe a minute was actually pretty smooth, and I liked it. I kind of freestyled a little bit. The song was pretty decent, so I'm going to give this a soft 7. Overall, as a project, it was fairly solid. Definitely a dark and eerie feel to the production that makes it right on point with this holiday. In my opinion, Banks did his thing lyrically on this project. One skip, maybe 2, but for the most part, they were all solid. Some of the song's lyrics could be Halloween-ish themed, but for the most part, not really. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that this is a Halloween project or not? Did you like it? Did you think it was trash? How would you rate the songs differently than I did? I'm curious to know. Drop them in the comments. And as always, if you like this video, be sure to smash that like button. Make sure that you recommend me which album you would like me to review in the future, and then subscribe or follow depending upon which platform you're viewing this on. Until next time, friends, peace.